This is a film study to focus on Jack Campbell's efforts in the Lions' 34-10 win over the Cleveland Browns. Another week where the Kelvin Sheppard'S linebacker group had a huge impact. Campbell was at the forefront. We're going to focus on him in this video, but I have to talk about what Sheppard is getting out of multiple guys at the linebacker position. Derek Barnes is definitely worthy of a film study video. His ability to serve as a hybrid linebacker, edge defender, inside linebacker in a 4-3 structure, a Sam in coverage from a coverage responsibility standpoint. I think he's playing at a really high level as well. That whole group that Kelvin Sheppard is utilizing, along with underrated and unheralded guys like Trevor Nowaski, Grant Stewart, and the veteran Zach Cunningham. They're all playing well and executing multiple tasks. Campbell, perhaps his job responsibility is more singular. He's the captain of the defense, the guy that takes the signals and kind of gets them in the right look. I'm actually going to show 3 plays that I talked about last week in different videos. When they go goal line, it seems like Detroit's defense kind of puts Campbell and Anzalone as edge defenders, outside linebackers, and they bring in like Barnes and or Stewart to actually play the inside linebacker position along with Zach Cunningham, and that's really worked out in their favor. This is, of course, the unbalanced toss that the Ravens tried to run, really just tried to outflank the Lions' defense, and it was not working at all. Did a great job, Campbell, on the edge, funneling Henry in to all of his help, running at different angles. I'll give you the end zone view of this one, and you can see what Zach Cunningham does to Ravens tight end Charlie Kolar. It's pretty amazing. Again, same play from the end zone angle. Here is Campbell as the edge defender. You're going to see him battle and fight with one of the Ravens' backup tight ends, and watch what Cunningham does to Kolar. I remember seeing this last week and thinking, wow, just extreme strength. It's not like Kolar tripped over anybody's foot. He just basically got tossed by Cunningham, who has played with a tremendous amount of violence when he's gotten the game. And that really fits for all of the inside linebackers, the hybrid linebackers that Sheppard has deployed, starting with Jack Campbell. This is his forced fumble / strip sack on Lamar on the 4th and goal as the Lions are holding or maintaining their 7-point lead in the second quarter. It's a very predictable offensive play for the Ravens out of a formation that I would normally call B-gun, with the tight end and the running back on opposite sides. The only thing the Ravens have done to really adapt it or change it is they've left the wide receiver in tight to help out with the edge defender. In this case, it is Derek Barnes. Andrews flowing into the flats. Campbell's got great instincts, great reactions. You can see he's extremely well trained. He doesn't get fooled very rarely in terms of where the football is going. And I love how him and then I think it's DJ Reed able to get in the air, elevate, get in the passing window of Lamar, basically not deny him any chance to target Zay Flowers running across the middle. Here's the same play from the end zone angle. One of the quintessential things or one of the core foundational movements that you want an inside linebacker to do is stay square as long as possible and be able to get their cleats in the ground, push off, and then go in the other direction. And Campbell does a great job of it. You can tell he doesn't just have great instincts, but he's got tremendous training and experience at the college and the NFL level. Taking a great angle here on Lamar, staying on basically Lamar's backside hip, but going to continue coming downhill and not stop his feet, basically not try to front Lamar up. It was an awesome moment for the Lions, clearly not for my Ravens. I think that all of the linebackers are so acutely prepared for each separate job task that Sheppard has given them. It really sticks out, if you ask me. This is the last one that I'll show from the Ravens game, and then we'll move on to the film against the Browns. So it's a 1st and 10 in the third quarter. I think it's the Ravens' first possession of the third quarter. And this is the one where Lamar is going to, juke around, move around. You've got this kind of over-under concept with Justice Hill underneath, Tylan Wallace over the top. And Jack Campbell, I guess the idea is that they're trying to get him to either take the bait in Justice Hill and leave Wallace over the top, or stay high here, and then Lamar's going to throw it underneath to Justice Hill. I would call it an over-under concept, but different names for it. But you can see how the Lions are doing this. They've got Anzalone in the flats, and then Campbell, and I believe that's Branch hook to curl, and then Amik in the flat. So it's a cover 3, all right? And I think that when they have played this cover 3, it's been really effective. Generally, it's been in 3rd and longs. It doesn't surprise anyone that Anzalone is the guy who puts his foot in the ground and comes forward to be secondary contained. In terms of the D-line is not able to keep the quarterback in the pocket, and then Anzalone decides to come downhill. He's really great at this, and the point I want to make here is, yes, It's a fantastic job by Lamar to kind of make something out of nothing, if you will. But he had to do all of that to get 4 yards, and Jack Campbell is the guy who's still there on Justice Hill. Justice Hill is a matchup problem, to be honest with you, for linebackers. The Ravens tried to go at Anzalone with a running back wheel earlier in the game. It just didn't make sense to me because Anzalone's so good in coverage. Jack Campbell is all over the place in 2025. I think he's having his best season yet. Moving forward here to Week 4 film, this is, of course, the possession where the Browns go down and take a 7-0 lead after Detroit initially had to punt. So 3rd and 5, going to be a 6-yard completion to Tillman. Almost gets in the end zone against Terrion Arnold. Watch the hit that Campbell lays on Tillman. He's a finisher, meaning when he gets to the ball, he arrives and he's got some attitude. This is like the 3rd one of these hits that I've seen from him this year, where he just lays a huge shot on a receiver, a running back at the end of a play. He plays the game the right way, in my opinion. I'm don't care about really how the game is officiated. Jack Campbell plays it like it's 1995 or 1985, but I mean that in a complimentary fashion. He's got 37 tackles so far this year, 2 TFLs, the 1 sack, forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. He almost actually had a second one this past week against Cleveland. 2 really nice plays here from a Campbell perspective in coverage, but just talking about overall awareness. David Njoku is a guy that Stefanski has often relied on in 2nd and long and 3rd and long situations, basically to try to recoup lost yardage. And watch how Campbell plays this. It looks like it's going to be a screen to the halfback out in motion, and all 3 of these guys are going to move in the same direction. So you're talking about full flow with them and the running back. Flacco looks that way, but Jack Campbell's got great eye discipline. He doesn't go for it. See how he changes direction the moment that Njoku does? This is a really nicely designed play. If Campbell is another yard later, if he's half a second or maybe a full second later, then Njoku is running underneath of this kickout block by the offensive lineman onto this space. This is kind of what I had talked about a little bit in terms of dealing with Njoku before the Ravens played the Browns. You've got to have awareness of him in 2nd and long and 3rd and long because they'll use him to basically get him going downhill. And in this case, Campbell is able to slide underneath of that kickout block or that block by, I believe it's the left guard. I like the design of the play. I really think the Browns deserve a little bit of credit for this, for recognizing their own limitations on 2nd and 18, meaning we're not just going to chuck the ball downfield, get the ball to the guy who can generate yards after the catch. There's the offensive lineman. He'll kind of combo the nose tackle and then move up to the linebacker level. Amik vacates with the motion. And this is the space, basically, that they're trying to get Njoku to run onto. It's there. If Campbell is a second late or half a second late, then Njoku's running underneath of that kickout block, but the guard can't get there. Campbell is already making contact with Njoku. It's a great play. Njoku was pretty pissed off because he understood the dynamic. All I got to do is catch this and get underneath of the block. The Lions are going to play so much man. Great design by the Browns, and Jack Campbell thwarted all of it. He gets pissed at himself here, and this is very interesting. Very next play, that was a 2-yard gain. So this is 3rd and 16 from the same drive. And again, it's Njoku. Now, Branch is going to lay a huge shot. I think this is cover 3, and I think Branch is playing it at depth. So basically, I think Branch is dropping down to this area to fit in the 4-under delineation like that. The only difference is Branch is dropping from depth. He's a 3rd-level player, whereas Campbell, Anzalone, and Amik are all 2nd-level players by alignment. So naturally, they're going to be closer to the line of scrimmage. Plus, it's 3rd and 16. There's no reason for Branch to be super close. So Campbell makes first contact with Njoku, and then Branch really sticks his shoulder pad into Njoku's sternum. Campbell's pissed at himself. I'm not sure why. Maybe he lost track of down and distance. Maybe he was just upset that they allowed another catch to Njoku. I'm not sure. I'll give you the same play from the end zone angle. There's Campbell's spot shadowed again. I think it's a cover 3. Maddox is maybe a tick late getting to the middle of the field as the middle of the field safety. Maybe Campbell's upset because he thinks he got too much depth, but it's 3rd and 16, brother. You want him to catch the ball underneath and make the tackle, and that's what him and Brian Branch do. I think they're playing great situational football defensively. Yeah, gave up 27 points to the Packers in Week 1, and the Ravens scored 30. It was a late add-on touchdown that allowed us to get an onside kick opportunity, but really the Lions, I think, played a quality brand of defense against a Ravens team that's, at this point really falling apart at the seams. Detroit, I think, has the ability to be extremely multiple defensively because of how many linebackers Sheppard is willing to use. So many guys, he can go 4, 5, 6, almost 6 guys down the list once Rodriguez comes back, and they can all have an impact. Campbell made a tackle on kickoff, and I want to emphasize this one a little bit because the Browns have some numbers from the bottom of the numbers to the sideline. He's just a pure football player. I think this is Wheat, the edge defender, D lineman that they signed earlier in the season. Kickoff's going to be caught down here by the return man. The other return man in the landing area is going to go block. And the way that this is working, Campbell is the force player, and then Wheat essentially runs the alley. The Browns have numbers from the bottom of the numbers out here. I'm talking about in this purple box. It's 4-on-3 for the Browns, but because Campbell does a great job, again, keeping the outside arm free, we're talking about his right arm here, keeping his outside arm free, that forces the returner to get back into the alley where Wheat is, and in fact, Campbell's actually credited with the tackle. I think he had 11 tackles on the day. A couple of more plays here, now into the second half. So this is the strip sack by Hutchinson, the first one, the one that's negated by penalty on Branch. It comes on a 3rd and 9, and in fact, it's a blitz. So it's a blitz by Campbell here, and he's being occupied by the right tackle. But Hutchinson is being chipped from Njoku up to the top side, and it has a clean lane to Flacco, who's trying to work the ball in either here or down here. He's definitely looking to his left, the bottom of our screen. That's where Branch is called for the hold on Fanning. They definitely made contact with each other. Fanning tried to change directions, and I guess, Branch's arm is wrapped around him. Hutchinson strips the ball out from Flacco the first time, and Campbell falls on top of it. Here's the blitz from the end zone angle. That's Jack Campbell. Anzalone lined up on Njoku. I mean, it's a very rare thing in the NFL for teams to assign an inside linebacker to tight ends like Njoku, man. Here is Jack Campbell occupying the right tackle. There is Branch holding, grabbing, Fanning, getting called for it. They do have to, I think, have some discussions with Branch about the number of penalties that he's had. No, they're not, they're not part of the play, part of the targeted area, but they are negating some big plays. In this case, it's the first strip sack by Hutchinson. I think Hutchinson would have been in Defensive Player of the Week discussion if he had 2 strip sacks that the Lions were able to recover in the case of Nowaski later and then Jack Campbell here. Still third quarter, the Lions are up 20-10. I may have the game situation wrong here in terms of the score, but in any case, this is a really cool job of utilizing all 3 linebackers. And I'm calling Nowaski and Barnes like a Sam linebacker. So you may still hear me refer to them as inside linebackers, even though clearly they spend more time lined up on the edge. So here's the initial switch that they're running. Basically, Anzalone is walked up over top of the left tackle. Campbell is the solo inside linebacker. But post-snap, they're going to switch it. So Campbell is blitzing. Muhammad is stunting to the inside. And then Campbell is gap exchanging it. We're talking about right here. I don't have the end zone angle of this one. Sorry for that. So Muhammad is lined up like in the B gap in a 3, and he's crossing the guard's face, and that allows Campbell to flow right over the top and get first contact on the running back. In addition to that, they've really kind of folded Nowaski inside as well. So the original drawing that I had with Campbell and Anzalone switching, they almost switched 2 guys. Basically inserted Campbell as a blitzer into the left side B gap and then took Anzalone and Nowaski and folded them back to the second level. Really tremendous job, I think, of stopping the run, having a run stunt in with a 4-2 look in the box, even though Anzalone was walked up. I think that Kelvin Sheppard's getting a lot out of the inside linebacker group. And when you look at some of the goal line defense, Cunningham last week against the Ravens, Grant Stewart, I think, had 2 tackles, maybe 3, down in that situation where Flacco tried to quarterback sneak twice this week before the eventual short touchdown run by the running back. I think Sheppard knows what he's doing. I like the plan. I have some thoughts about it in terms of how they're surviving without another high-level defensive end. And Sheppard's making it work. You have to give those guys credit for the way that they're being creative defensively with all the linebackers who are capable of doing so many things. We're focusing on Campbell here, but there is something to say about Barnes. In this case, we'll let it run through one time. He's basically assigned to read the tight end, fanning, and respond to the tight end's block or release. And in this case, the tight end steps out, acts like he's going to chip, and then releases. And so Barnes releases with him. We'll pull this back and we'll talk about Campbell because this is a violent hit on a running back underneath. This is what you love to see from an inside linebacker perspective when it's play action and they throw the ball to the running back underneath. So there's Campbell, got his foot in the ground, but watch him match Flacco's drop. The moment Flacco's right foot is in the ground and he's at the top of his drop is the same time Campbell stops his feet and he's at the top of a drop. You don't have to do that on every single play, but on certain instances, that's what you're trying to get your inside linebackers to do. And then on the throw, finishes with violence. I will tell you that the Ravens inside linebackers did this like 4 times in the Browns game. Outside of that, we haven't seen it. I'm talking about recognizing the ball thrown in zone in front of you, coming downhill, finishing violently, basically punishing a running back or a tight end for catching the ball underneath against your zone defense. It really reminded me of that one and the goal line hit earlier on Tillman that I showed the fourth play. Really reminded me of Campbell's hit, his stick, the forced fumble against DK Metcalf last year that CD3 picked up and tried to score down the right sideline. I think he's playing the best football we've seen. But overall, this inside linebacker group is operating everywhere at a high level, whether it's man-to-man by Anzalone covering tight ends. He's been assigned to cover Andrews and Njoku in the last couple of weeks. That's a very rare or unique. Fanning as well against the Browns. It's a very rare decision tactically from a defensive coordinator. Anzalone's got 20 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 2 quarterback hits while providing solid coverage. I talked about the backup or guys down the roster: Cunningham, Stewart, Nowaski. Nowaski, that huge sack against Lamar in a QB spy. I think it's 31-24 Lions, and they hold the Ravens to a field goal. And it's really predicated on proper utilization of the spy. And one time it was Nowaski. I think the other time it was Barnes, talking about that fourth quarter stop that the Lions had. From a Campbell perspective, he's leading the team in 37 tackles. Very active, hostile. You see the hits that he's laying on people. He's trying to punish guys for catching the football within his range. Barnes is second on the team with 26 tackles. I really think that it's time to do a film study video on him. He does have 1 sack. No, he's not a huge pass rush guy and probably never will be, but I do love how they're using him as a hybrid Sam, outside linebacker who can walk back in their 4-3 look. Kelvin Sheppard knows what he's doing. This is a tough group of guys at the inside linebacker position. Kelvin Sheppard's got a bunch of multi-tools and then a hammer. And the hammer seems to be Jack Campbell so far. He's playing extremely well. Probably never going to be a high sack guy, but really good in coverage again in 2025. Great against the run. Super high-level awareness. And this is one that I should have done last week, but with all the film study videos to do on the Lions, Ravens, and then the Seahawks, it was difficult to get to. I was glad to see him make an impact this week against the Browns once again and give me the opportunity to produce this video for you guys. If you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comment section by commenting. Let me know what you like to see more of in terms of Campbell or inside linebacker film studies, or perhaps things you think I omitted. Definitely like the video. If you sat through it this far, it really helps the videos get pushed out to a larger audience and then possibly generate more revenue for content creators like myself. And then finally, if you think other Lions fans would enjoy this film study look at Jack Campbell's 2025 season so far, specifically his play against the Cleveland Browns and the Ravens, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.